We're back out here live at 26th Street in Virginia, and there have been quite a few developments since the last time I talked to you. We're hearing now that Michael McCormick is in fact in custody. He's been arrested and he's right now being transported to the Yuma Police Department for questioning in reference to a string of burglaries and some possible car theft. Police tell us he also has a warrant out of Mojave County for, again, burglary. That's how this whole thing started. Police have been looking for Michael McCormick for some time in reference to these burglaries. And this all started, this video here is from the Torchlight Motel on 4th Avenue. Police say that's Michael McCormick crawling out of one of the rooms there. He apparently busted through one of the ceilings. They heard he was there. They heard that he may have been armed, so they camped out there waiting for him to come out. This is one of the drug smuggling vehicles that was seized in the operation. And this is one of the hidden compartments. Just pull off this side flap right here, reach in, and agents say that's where they hid the drugs. I just got a citation in jail time for making a left turn on a one-way street because you're so focused in this simulator on going straight and making the right moves that there are certain signs that you're just going to miss. Protesters are gathered here and they're all yelling together, what do we want? We want lower electricity bills. They've all marched over to here at this port of entry where they're trying to jam up the flow of traffic. They're calling this a tremendous body blow to the Sinaloa drug cartel. We'll tell you how law enforcement officials got their hands on hundreds of pounds of drugs. This is one of the areas where crews used a bulldozer to build a perimeter around the fire. Now, judging by the color of the sand, you can tell exactly where those flames stopped. This boat has a very distinct advantage when it comes to river patrols. Check this out. As you can see, it can glide over very shallow waters.
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
Frenchie and Ray Moore woke up to find a noose hanging on their mailbox. It all started with a phone call from the newspaper telling them a delivery person found the menacing rope earlier in the morning.
It's disgusting to see this day and age somebody still running around doing these kind of jokes.
Ray is a former Yuma County supervisor who says this is not the first time he and his family have been a target of hate crime. During his campaign in 1980, he received numerous threats, many of them racially motivated.
I received death threats when I first ran, and threats on the children's lives, etc. like that. Things that I haven't forgotten. It was just history.
That was more than a decade ago. Today, Ray and Frenchie say they do not know why they were marked with one of the most striking symbols of racism.
They are such cowards that they can do something like this. They can confront me, they can confront my husband, but I want them to know they're nothing but scumbags.
The Moores say they're not afraid of the culprit or the sinister message he or she left behind. But Ray has the unfortunate task of explaining this outrageous incident to his grandson, who's too young to understand.
Because he hasn't lived a lot that I lived, and so he haven't experienced all the hard times. But hopefully he'll have to go through this kind of stuff. That's the dream.
Occupants, room 258. Open your door, come out with your hands up.
Yuma police tracked down a burglary suspect at a local motel. A SWAT team responded, fearing the man identified as Michael McCormick may be armed and dangerous.
He's basically wanted for questioning in reference to several burglaries in the Yuma area, possible stolen vehicles in the Yuma area, and he also has an outstanding felony warrant.
For hours, officers stood on guard with their weapons pointed at room 258. Then the door opened and a woman crawled out to the officers. At the same time, a man busted through the roof and made his way in the opposite direction. Police say that's Michael McCormick. The great escape would lead to a whole new manhunt. Officers quickly switched their focus to the Yuma Home Park.
Other officers confronted him before he was able to break into a trailer unit there. So we had a second standoff.
The entire event would last for almost 8 hours. Officers say McCormick finally surrendered after SWAT members used a form of non-lethal force similar to tear gas.
He'll be transported back to the station, be interviewed in reference to a list of things.
About 8 or 9 years ago.
This 16-year-old girl doesn't like to be called brave, but for this story, we'll just call her Mary. It was in grade school during a lesson on the birds and the bees that Mary learned the truth about her stepfather, William Chris Hughes.
That's when I kind of realized, okay, he's having sex with me. I'm 9, and this isn't allowed.
Mary says Hughes violated her on a daily basis.
For me, in order to do anything, even to be happy, he had to get at least 15 pictures a night.
It wasn't until last year, during a fight with her mom, that Mary blurted out her dark secret. Her mother called the police.
He had a whole different life other than before I met him, that I found out later.
Chris Hughes was arrested in January 2008. Then a victims' rights advocate stepped in to support Mary through the trial process. When Hughes was finally sentenced, Mary was there.
He addressed me and addressed my mom, and we're saying things, it's like, I really did love you, and I never meant to hurt you.
Mary will never fully erase more than a decade of sexual and physical abuse. Despite that, she describes herself now as the happiest person in the world.
He wasn't going to hurt me anymore. He wasn't going to hurt my family. There's nothing he can do. That's when I knew for a fact I can start my life over. I have a second chance.